Okay, hello guys. This is Genesis chapter 28, 29, and 30. In chapter 28, Isaac blesses Jacob and tells him to go and find a wife in Pandam Aram, which is modern day Syria, Turkey, Mesopotamia area. So he goes and does that because he doesn't want Jacob to marry a Canaanite woman. So when Esau later on in the chapter hears about that he got blessed again, and that he got his father's blessing, and he is jealous of Jacob because he done took away the first birth rate. He done took away the blessing that was supposed to come to him, and now he got blessed again from his father. So Esau goes out of rebellion and marries a woman out of Ishmael's tribe, one of his daughters, out of rebellion. So he does that, and then Jacob, he goes to Haram, which is the southern east part of Turkey, to live there near the Syrian border. And he falls asleep on a rock for a pillow, and he dreams of a ladder with angels going up and down to heaven. And above the ladder, he saw the Lord. And the Lord said to him in his dream, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land which you are lying on. All people are going to be blessed because of you. And that is important for us because this is also our lineage. If you are a professor of following the Messiah, Jesus, Yeshua. So that lets you know that no matter what situation you're in, you are blessed. So you need to come back to your senses no matter what you're going through. And so the promise, God made him that promise, and that is a covenant that he had with Jacob, which he had with Isaac, and which he had with Abraham, which he has for us. Same thing. This is our lineage. And the promise that he made is, I will be with you and watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised, which I give them, which he gave them, the land of Israel. And so at that point, Jacob took that rock that he had under his head and said, I'm going to build an altar around this thing, because it was a spot that he felt like God was there with him. And he said that he knows God is going to be my God because he has taken care of me. And that's what his covenant was with God. Chapter 29, Jacob continues his journey with his uncles, his uncle Laban, and Rachel and his daughters and his cousin. Rachel was a shepherd on her father's land. He stays 1 month, and then he asks his uncle if he can have Rachel as a wife. Oh, so I misspoke earlier. I messed it up. So he went to a land where Rachel, which is the daughter of Laban, he stays there for a month with him and works his land and prospers all of his livestock and his field and his money on top of that. And then after he works for him for a month, he said, if I can have Rachel as a wife. And he says, if you stay here for the full month, then I will give you Rachel as a wife. But when he got finished working, then he said, well, I can't, out of tradition, give you the youngest before the oldest is able to be married off. So I will give you both of them, Leah also, if you stay longer. And so even though Jacob was mad about that, he stayed with him longer. So he decided, if you can work for me for 7 years, then I'll give you Rachel. That's what he said. For 7 years more, I'll give you Rachel. So after 7 years was over, Jacob said, okay, give me my wife. And so I'm going to be leaving. And Laban said, no, stay with me longer, because I went to a, what they call psychic. And he said, I've learned through divination that you are blessed of the Lord. So I need you to stay here with me. And so The days went by, and it was an intense attraction for his wives, and they wanted to stay with the father on the land anyway. So he stayed there and he served them for 7 more years. And so when Rachel saw Leah bearing children, which is now, this is how the 12 tribes of Israel are coming out of Jacob's lineage. So she became jealous of her sister, and so she gave Jacob her bond servant, and then she bore a child. And then after that bond servant bore another child, and then she stopped bearing children. And so she gave her another servant, and she bore 6 children. And so out of all this, all these children, the tribe of Dan, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, and they had a girl, Dinah, and Dinah was a prophet, or prophetess, a judge. Then God heard Rachel's cry, and she bore a son, and his name was Joseph. And after Rachel bore Joseph, Jacob wanted to part ways with with his father-in-law. So they did decide on that they would leave, but he said, I'll take all the spotted and all the messed up animals and give you all the right ones. But then Jacob was being tricky, and he made it the ones that were young and strong in the beginning. And so he became even more rich than his father-in-law. And so Laban thought that something was wrong with all of this, and so he got mad about things, and he wanted him to stay longer. But Jacob took his household and his children and his flock, and then they leave. And this is the end of 30. So if you think that you have family problems, they started way back in the Bible times. So sometimes you have to separate from people, and you can love them from a distance. And then when it comes down to Jacob followed God's way, and he was respectful to his father about keeping the covenant that God wanted to have, a pure, not pure as far as racial, but pure as far as holiness and ways of living. And so he did get a wife where his father wanted him to get a wife from. At the end of the day, let me see, because there was something very, very important. At the end of the day, when it comes down to chapters 28, 29, and 30, even though you might have a brother or sister that is jealous of you, might be a brother or sister that is in the church, you have to still love them and pray for them, and try not to be deceivious in your ways, because it seemed like Jacob was a trickster all the whole time, from the time he was able to talk and walk. And so was his mother. And so another thing is, when it comes down to mothers, try not to, and fathers, try not to have favorites. And that might be hard to do, I guess, but you should try not to have favorites, because each one is special in its own right, and each one has been birthed here by God for a specific reason. So you should honor the fact that that person is made in God's image. And so do not raise your children to be like one or the other, and don't have them thinking that they need to measure up to the other one, because they themselves are special. And maybe I'm talking to somebody that is listening. You are special of yourself. Even if the family calls you a black sheep, you are not going the way they think you should go, whether that be serving God or whatever. Hopefully you're doing the right thing. But if you're doing the right thing, sometimes family members separate you from them. But don't separate yourself from them in the sense of not speaking, because if they live a different lifestyle, you should still honor their living. So anyway, that's it for today with the Bible study. God bless you. Have a good day.